Hello and welcome back, fellow Pokemon trainers. I am Joe Picorni.
And I'm John Hu. We are here with the last round of Swiss, featuring the last two people who I think haven't been streamed yet.
Yeah.
At least the ones who are still 3-1. I think they're both 3-1. So we have Ken or Zheyuan Ken Huang, and on the other side we have
We have Jared Waitola. Pardon me.
Woitalla. I don't know.
Ah,
Your last name's confusing, Mike. But anyway, uh, this is not a matchup I've seen before at these tournaments before. I think this is a new one, but it looks like Jared's changed up his team a little bit, and Ken's running a team that's probably more suited to what he's used to running. He's got Tapu Koko, Mimikyu, Snorlax, Arcanine, Garchomp, and Celesteela.
and Jared is running that Tapu Fini, Vikavolt, Metagross, Arcanine, Porygon Z, and Garchomp.
Yeah, so a little bit of changes for both players, and Ken's team is in Chinese, so no scouting there, but uh, I'll have to translate him later if he does indeed win this last round. So, Ken, very strong player. He placed top four last midseason, I think.
Believe so.
Yeah, that sounds right. And we are playing from his perspective, so I'm gonna do my best to help you guys out. Okay.
Fantastic.
And we did not mean for this to happen, but it just happened that way. So I'll help us out. Okay.
Fantastic.
The names
Hopefully,
should hopefully be in English though.
yeah,
So.
hopefully he nicknamed his Mons so we can actually read them.
All right.
All right, so we see the Porygon Z and Metagross led from Jared.
All right, and it looks like Ken's going to lead with Tapu Koko, that event one, and Garchomp. So Tapu Koko going to set that electric terrain real fast. Of course, it has to be timid because it is the event version. Okay, so known to be, kind of a misleader is that you would use this timid Koko to throw off your opponent to thinking it's an offensive set, when really you just run the timid Assault Vest set. And definitely kind of an option here.
Absolutely. As we see that Garchomp just go for the protect.
Porygon Z gonna show that it's scarfed, so it's going to throw that Ice Beam out, um, and it is going to go. Tapu Koko is going to go pick up that Porygon Z with Skydrop, and Metagross does indeed miss its target.
All right. So at this point, I really think that Garchomp is safe to either go for an Earthquake or the Ground EMZ if it is carrying it into that Metagross slot, or into that Porygon 2 if it wants to make sure that it no longer is threatened by that Ice Beam.
Right, and I do expect that Jared's gonna have to figure out what he wants to do with Metagross. Is he willing to let it get knocked out by Tectonic Rage right away, or does he need to conserve it for something that Ken may have in the back, such as Mimikyu? Um, that's something that Jared will have to think about. But it looks like Jared's just going to keep both these things in. Well, he didn't have a choice on the Porygon Z, of course. And here's that Tectonic Rage coming out from Ken's Garchomp.
All right. Garchomp going for that Tectonic Rage into
It's going to hit
that
that Porygon Z.
Z.
So that switch that I was thinking Jared might pull did not happen, and that's good for him since he's now going to get a free attack off onto one of Ken's Pokemon, and that's going to be a Meteor Mash into Garchomp. Strong.
Yeah, that did quite a bit of damage, and he is able to get that attack boost, and the Rough Skin is going to deal a little bit of chip damage onto that Metagross. All right, as we
As
see,
Arcanine comes to replace that Porygon Z, gonna make sure that Garchomp doesn't do as much damage with that Earthquake. Pretty useless on that Tapu Koko though, and Tapu Koko still doing what it does best, just doing its job, Sky Dropping, maybe throwing out a Volt Switch, T-Bolt, Nature's Madness if we know it's the Assault Vest kind. And Arcanine, pretty happy, just eating up a couple more Earthquakes here. But Garchomp's still sitting pretty. No more Z move, but maybe it's packing Swords Dance to make itself get strong again.
absolutely. And unfortunately, Earthquake is the main attacking move of Garchomp, so he will not be able to go for Earthquake super freely because of his partner Pokemon.
Can you turn that music
All right.
on?
So looks like A flare blitz? I'm not super sure. I think it looked like another Meteor Mash went into the Garchomp slot as he Volt switched out with his Tapu Koko.
Alright, so Tapu Koko gonna do a little bit of damage. Bring in that Arcanine, drop that Arcanine attack stat. Looks like Metagross is not going to be affected, obviously. So Metagross is going to get another attack off this turn, but... Oh, I guess not. I missed it. He must have Meteor Mashed into...
I believe he Meteor Mashed into the protecting Garchomp.
So now Ken is in a good position once again. He can't Earthquake freely still, but, you know, Arcanine is going to threaten that Metagross with Flare Blitz. Looking pretty strong here, not intimidated, unlike Jared's Arcanine, who's in a slightly worse position.
Absolutely, and Arcanine, honestly here, even if it wasn't intimidated, wouldn't be doing too much because of the typing of both the mods on the field.
Metagross is going to go ahead and use Protect, doesn't want to get knocked out by Flare Blitz or get chunked by Earthquake, as Garchomp goes for that Rock Slide. Gonna hit that Protect, but hit that Arcanine for some good damage. Possibly get a flinch here, leave it right outside barrier range.
Alright, as we see a Flare Blitz, I believe. Oh, no, a Bulldoze.
That would be Bulldoze from Jared's own Arcanine, so this is really good for Jared here. You're gonna get that speed drop on both of Kim's Pokemon, really important. As Will-O-Wisp coming out from Arcanine, not gonna connect here, as Metagross did protect itself. But Will-O-Wisp is something we haven't seen for quite some time, thanks to Tapu Fini making it basically useless. But you know, in a game like this, where the person in control of Tapu Fini hasn't shown Tapu Fini, it's a pretty good
Absolutely.
move.
Alright, so we see Arcanine switch on out for Jared.
And there is that Tapu Fini, so hopefully Ken did not go for that Will-O-Wisp. He may have made his Arcanine very useless this turn. We will see. As Earthquake gonna come out, Ken doesn't even care. He's gonna do it to his own Arcanine, do the business, knock him all the way down. As Metagross is going to go ahead and proc that weakness policy.
That is going to be a very strong Metagross now, and it does have the chance of outspeeding that Arcanine.
Well, Metagross threw out an attack, but it missed.
Oh.
But Misty Terrain prevented that Will-O-Wisp. So,
Yeah.
it could have gotten rid of the Garchomp there, but luckily for Jared, he did have that Bulldoze, so maybe Tapu Fini can outpace both of these Pokemon.
Jared, I'm certainly hoping so. And obviously, since he is the creator of the team, he does have a little bit better knowledge on if his Pokemon is going to be able to do such.
And Ken definitely has that option to switch out by either of these Pokemon, since they are both getting threatened by Tapu Fini. Metagross being at +2 though makes that kind of a risky idea, because whatever is switching could get nailed by a +2 Meteor Mash or +2 Zen Headbutt.
Absolutely. Never want to mess around with a super strong Metagross. But as we see that Garchomp switch out for the Snorlax.
Alright, and Extreme Speed coming out from Arcanine, gonna do a little bit more chip damage to Tapu Fini, as Metagross gonna go for that Bullet Punch, hitting Snorlax for quite a bit of damage thanks to that +2 boost, as Muddy Water comes out and wrenches that into.
Alright, and it does proc that Snorlax's berry, but does get a accuracy drop.
Yeah, so looking good for Jared now. He's got all kinds of momentum going forward. He is going to have to worry about Garchomp coming back in, but I think another Bullet Punch from Metagross is enough to take it out from that range, considering the amount it did to that Snorlax. But Ken's going to bring in Tapu Koko to make sure Garchomp can still stay in for what it's supposed to do as a fast, kind of strong attacker here.
Absolutely. Alright, so at this point, if I'm the Tapu Koko, I'm fine with just going for a electric move into either of these Pokemon at this point. And that Snorlax is able to go for a high horsepower if it does have it into that Metagross.
Yeah, I think Metagross here has to choose very carefully what it wants to do and what it must do. Jared's going to have to figure that out on his own. Tapu Fini here, of course, threatened, but you know, you can't just switch back into Arcanine and expect to get off scot-free. Although, you know, knowing that it's a support Tapu Koko, maybe you are willing to risk that switch. As we see Metagross go ahead and protect.
Alright, and then we see the Tapu Koko go for Thunderbolt.
And it does connect with Protect, so Jared staying in with a no fear Fini, going to throw that Muddy Water out. We weaken the Tapu Koko and get another accuracy drop. Snorlax is going to recycle that berry, so good use of a turn that, risk of missing and getting nothing off versus, getting my berry back.
Absolutely.
And, weakening that Tapu Koko was a very effective way to maybe make it so that it's in range of another attack, but Bolt Punch definitely won't be that attack.
Absolutely. Alright, so we see that Metagross actually does just go for that Bullet Punch into the Tapu Koko.
It's a lot of damage, but it's not quite enough as Thunderbolt drops down into Metagross. Doing a lot, not enough for the knockout. Muddy Water not going to knock out Snorlax this time, even though there's no accuracy drops in the meeting. Is going to knock out Tapu Koko though, so with a critical hit, probably didn't matter there. The damage roll for the first one didn't quite matter, as Snorlax goes for the frustration, but of course those accuracy drops.
Absolutely. At minus accuracy, it's never fun to have to hit any moves.
Okay, so Garchomp comes back in for Ken, but this is still pretty risky. There's no more Z move for Ken, and Tapu Fini is definitely surviving any hit, even possibly Poison Jab from Garchomp, and Muddy Water could be thrown out for the chuck damage.
Alright, as we see that Garchomp actually go for Protect, Metagross goes for...
They're going to match each other's Protect here, as Tapu Fini goes for that Moon Blast into Garchomp. Snorlax going to throw out Frustration here, but they just hit into each other's protects. They're back at the same position they were last turn.
Absolutely. So that Metagross will be able to go for that Bullet Punch into the Garchomp if necessary, but he will most likely go down to the Rough Skin damage.
Metagross is not going to go for Bullet Punch this turn. Garchomp just going to Earthquake. Feels like he's done enough work maybe that it won't matter too much as a critical hit on the Metagross, making sure it goes home, doesn't come back.
Absolutely.
But very unfortunately, procking that berry for Tapu Fini. Citrus Berry, actually, so that's the second one we've seen today.
Absolutely. As it seems to make a comeback at the end of the season, as it goes for a Moonblast into that Garchomp.
Yeah, so now Ken has just got his sole Snorlax remaining, and he does go for the return. My apologies, I guess I must have misread that. I thought the return was a different move. But return gonna knock Tapu Fini down to the red, so that Citrus Berry actually coming in had the Earthquake not knocked him into that area range for the Citrus. And Arcanine coming in, make sure that Snorlax is going to go for -1. And he does have that berry, so Jared's gonna have to work a little bit to get through that berry.
Absolutely. Right now, even though I'm down to my last Pokemon, I'm not super disappointed with my position right now because of the ability to just continue to recycle. And even though Arcanine is able to get off the floor blades, it is probably just going to put him into the berry range.
Yes, we do see that Snorlax survives that hit. Arcanine is going to self-proc his own berry to get back up to full, make sure he has enough chances to get more attacks out. And Snorlax also going to proc his berry, go back up to full health, almost not full health, sorry. But remember, he is at -2 accuracy, so even if he decides to attack instead of recycle, he will just miss.
Alright, as we see another accuracy drop from that Tapu Fini.
And Recycle gonna come out here, make sure Snorlax still has HP to work with. But at this point, Ken's gonna have to hope that the recoil damage from Flare Blitz is enough to deal with.
Absolutely, it's always rough when you get those drops from Muddy Water because it's such a risk. You can't rely on it missing, but it could always be nice when it does actually manage to miss.
So, Muddy Water does miss here. Snorlax is going to go for another Recycle. Jared is switching it up, going to Extreme Speed now to make sure that Arcanine doesn't take that much recoil damage. Smart decision, but not enough damage here to make sure that the berries keep getting offset as more damage goes by.
Alright, as we see Arcanine go for a Flare Blitz into that Snorlax, not doing a good enough amount of damage as that berry will proc once more.
Okay, and then Snorlax is going to get back up to its health threshold as Fini going to go ahead and drop another Muddy Water, another miss, and another hit from Snorlax, going to take out Tapu Fini. Very unfortunate. That's 3 misses if you were trying to get home, but not for the Pokemon with 3 accuracy drops.
If you would have told me that there's a Pokemon with that low of accuracy and a Pokemon with full accuracy, never would have guessed that that would have been the one to do all the missing.
And at this point, I think if you're Jared, your win condition now is to get it right outside the berry range and hope for a Flare Blitz crit.
Absolutely. It's not impossible, but it's not looking super likely because he also does have to survive any other thing that he does, including like a frustration or a potential high horsepower. But as we just see over cycle off here.
So Bulldoze here is also a way to conserve BP. It means Arcanine does get to stick around much longer than it should be. And, you know, Snorlax is going to still have to go through those accuracy drops in order to actually get damage off. And now it's got some really reduced stats here. It is going to connect this attack. -1, definitely not enough to take the KO.
Alright, as that Arcanine is able to hold on for one more turn. Now if you're Jared, you have to think, is he quite in range? Or if I do another attack, will it put him into it? But as we do see, that Arcanine goes for another Bulldoze. Ooh, just
too much. So that's going to be really unfortunate for Jared. He's going to have to work to get that HP back down to just outside the threshold. And Snorlax is going to throw out some free attacks. A miss, you know. It's time to start equalizing those chances. And Jared, he is backs against the wall here. Switching to extreme speed, get a little more damage than Bulldoze would be doing.
Alright, as he just goes for another recycle.
Alright, and still keep going. There's not much else to commentate here. It's just, does Snorlax get critical hit by Flare Blitz outside of barrier range or not? And that's really it. But I mean, does Jared even get to that point in the first place? That's another question.
Absolutely, because as we did see, that Arcanine is able to dodge another attack. So you never have to doubt the ability, or never doubt the strength of lowering accuracy. As we see Arcanine go for, once again, another Bulldoze.
So now Snorlax is about outside of the range, but it finally connects, and that's going to be game 1 for Ken. Very, I would say, unfortunate for Jared that he missed all those muddy waters and he got hit by a -3 accuracy return. But that's just the name of the game we play.
Absolutely.
And, you know, Ken might have stolen that one, but I'm sure he's had some games stolen from him before.
Absolutely. And you know, that is always something you have to consider when you're running Tapu Fini, is that yes, you have such nice damage output that only hits your opponent. When you're running Muddy Water, you have the ability to drop accuracy, but also you don't have great accuracy yourself.
Alright, so we're going to head into game 2. Porygon Z, you know, looks like Ken kind of was suspecting that possibly a Scarf set on the Porygon Z was a thing instead of the conversion set. So that first turn Sky Drop into Tech Rage combo was really devastating for one of Jared's major tools to take care of that Garchomp. And instead he had to let his Metagross go instead, since he couldn't have the Bullet Punch. Well, even if he had Bullet Punch, he would have knocked himself out from Rough Skin. You know, Fini's not super fast. So Garchomp was definitely pinning him.
Absolutely. One thing that I think Jared could take advantage of if his Metagross was trained a little bit differently is that if he would have gone for Bulldoze, he has the ability to outspeed every Pokemon on Ken's side if he does go for a Bulldoze. But unfortunately, it doesn't look like his Pokemon is trained to be able to do that.
Yep, so gonna go into game 2, see how Jared has adjusted or whether his luck is improving. Metagross did do quite a bit thanks to eating up that -1 Earthquake from Ken's Garchomp. And let's see if he can try and get it again. Possibly, but maybe he's just going to stick with the same thing.
Alright, so we see him lead off with that Porygon Z and that Metagross.
And here's Tapu Koko and Garchomp once again for Ken. And this could be a repeat of game 1 where he just Sky Drops and Tech Rages right on the turns 1 and 2 here. Metagross, you know, a little bit scared of the Tech Rage, but I think Ken realizes that Ice Beam from Scarf Porygon Z is too much for Garchomp to handle.
Yeah, Porygon Z is one of those mons that is always so nice when you're able to put a Scarf on it because it can run super powerful Hyper Beams, nice Ice Beams for Garchomps. So I think if you're that Garchomp, you need to either protect or switch out here. But we see the Metagross
protects, but Garchomp does not. So Porygon Z gonna go ahead and go that Hyper Beam route. Hyper Beam that Tapu Koko right out of the sky. But, you know, that Assault Vest coming in real clutch. Volt Switch from Tapu Koko going to take Porygon Z about half. Get a free switch for Ken. Although Tapu Koko did not get away scot-free at all.
Absolutely. He took a bunch of damage, but for this next turn, that Porygon 2, Porygon Z, we know is not going to be doing any damage because it has to recharge.
Yep. So Matt, Arcanine coming out here is a little iffy. I do understand that it's just set up for taking care of Metagross next turn, but it Jared has that option of switching back into his own Arcanine, and Ken is blowing his Z move now, presumably into that Metagross, but he protected, so most of that damage is not there anymore, and he's gonna get that weakness policy boost.
Absolutely. If I was in Ken's seat, I think I probably would have rock slid there because even though it would have been a little riskier, it always has that flitch chance and it would have done an okay amount of damage to that Porygon 2. Or pardon me, Porygon Z.
Now this is pretty risky though, or pretty sketch because Jared can only switch out Metagross because Porygon Z, as you mentioned, has to recharge. So if Ken wants to, he can bank on Metagross going down this turn as long as he doubles it with Earthquake, Flare Blitz, or maybe just even normal Flare Blitz since nothing is intimidated on Ken's side of the field yet.
Absolutely. Alright, as we just see the Arcanine actually go for Protect there. So I'm guessing we're going to see an Earthquake.
As Bullet Punch going off into Garchomp, maybe a last ditch effort here, do some damage.
Alright, as the Metagross does take Rough Skin, Porygon recharges, and Garchomp goes for that Earthquake.
Yeah, this should be a knockout on both Pokemon here. Porygon Z not the defensive brother uh, Porygon 2, so pretty offensive. Now, I would have liked to see Jared go for that Ice Beam try again, but after game one, I do understand that it's probably not what you're going to do.
Absolutely. After your opponent makes the correct call on when out without even knowing the Pokemon's set, if he's able to make that same call again, you really have to think, is it worth it? Or I can do consistent damage with that one Hyper Beam.
Okay, so Jared sends in Garchomp and Tapu Fini as his last. He decided not to bring Arcanine this time, uh, possibly because Swords Dance Garchomp can deal effectively with Snorlax, and maybe Jared was just afraid of the Snorlax coming in and stopping his plans once again. Garchomp is in a pretty nice position here to Earthquake or Tectonic Rage that Arcanine, and Ken does have a possible immunity in Celesteela, but
All
that is
right.
not Celesteela, so
We see Ken switch out into his Snorlax, and Garchomp
does
goes
go
for
for
a
that Swords
Swords
Dance.
Dance.
All right, raising the attack of Garchomp high and Snorlax, or not Snorlax, Garchomp on Ken's side, gonna throw out an Earthquake. Just get some damage down on both of Jared's Pokemon here as Tapu Fini goes for the Muddy Water.
All right, Muddy Water is going to do a halfway decent amount of damage to this Garchomp.
Leave Snorlax right outside berry range, so this is actually pretty ideal for where Jared is because now he can just protect Earthquake. Both of Ken's Pokemon go down. We know Ken did not bring Celesteela, so there's no risk of hitting into a ground immunity. And the only thing Garchomp really has to worry about is possibly having to deal with the Tapu Koko in the back after it comes back in.
Absolutely. And I don't know if we've seen any speed drops, but I think another potential out is that Garchomp could be a part of a speed tie at this point.
Right. So this will have to go. We'll have to see what both players choose to do with this turn.
All right, as we see that
Snorlax gonna
Snorlax.
go ahead and protect. So we know that as protect and recycle.
And we see the Groundium Z coming out from Garchomp.
Ground DMZ Garchomp, we don't know who it's hitting, but I would suspect it goes into Snorlax. Don't want to risk Earthquake not getting the KO, but hitting into Protect, that's kind of a big blunder. Actually, it
Oh,
goes into Garchomp.
yeah, I guess that was a good call on Jared's part. So now his Tapu Fini didn't have to take any potential earthquake damage.
Yeah, and then Tapu Fini is going to throw out a Muddy Water, but Protect, nothing's going to happen here. So yeah, so we're back to square one, sort of. But here is the Arcanine going to drop that attack down to +1. Uh, really good for Ken's is now I'm pretty sure that Snorlax will survive an Earthquake and get that Berry proc, but we're going to have to see what Jared does in order to combat this Arcanine's drop.
Absolutely. If I'm Jared, if I have a single target water move at this point, I think I would really need to go for it as that Garchomp takes the extreme speed from that Arcanine.
And Garchomp going to go for Rock Slide here. Here we go. Playing with rocks, playing with flinches. That's a lot of damage on Arcanine right there. And that's going to proc the berry on Snorlax.
Going up back to a pretty good amount of HP, and we see that Arcanine get also a good amount of HP back with its Pinch Berry as well.
And Muddy Water fails to connect Snorlax for probably the umpteenth time, but it does connect with Arcanine, which is good for Jared. Not enough damage to knock it out quite yet, as return goes into Garchomp. That's going to be a KO. So it's looking all but over since Ken still has that Tapu Koko in the back. Reset terrain, throw out a Thunderbolt, and that's probably game.
Absolutely. Very well managed game by Ken. And Jared just, I don't think he really had the tools, or the plays rather, that he made to really get rid of all the threats that Ken's team had for his.
Yeah, perhaps instead of using Bullet Punch on the second turn to take advantage of weakness policy, he could have tried to go for the very risky Double Protect and hope to get Porygon Z knocked out so that Jared could have thrown in maybe like his own Garchomp or Tapu Fini in order to deal with Ken's Garchomp. Instead, we see that Metagross only got to use its boost on a very kind of weak 40 base power priority move. But at this point, it's just formalities since Ken really has the game locked up.
Absolutely, unless he is running Iron Ball Tapu Koko and gets 30 like drops from the Muddy Water, but I doubt that it's gonna happen. So I think this game is pretty much wrapped up in Ken's favor.
All right, so Tapu Koko going to hit the field one more time. Took that Hyper Beam like a champ. So good on ya, Tapu Koko. Good on ya.
I know, it's always impressive seeing a Tapu Koko, which is more of an offensive mon, take any kind of hit. It's always nice seeing it take something especially as strong as like a Hyper Beam from an adaptability Porygon.
All right, and Thunderbolt is going to close this game out.
All right, so that is a game in Ken's favor.
And the set is also Ken's.
All
So
right.
we are going to then look at the scores, tally them up, and round's not quite over yet, so still some players playing. But we will get back to you with a top 8 after everyone's been hack checked and top cut has been confirmed. So
See you soon.